second week of the build, and I didn't film anything yesterday because the weather was so rainy and crappy, but the two guys who are working here, Tristan and Adrien, they soldiered along in the rain. I came out at the end of the day and took some photos. But as you can see, things have really advanced. So this is the two areas of central heating that they're going to do first, and this only gets filled up to about well, roughly 3/4 of the actual height of the rest of the slab. So when this is done, they'll then build extra molds around the edge here so the building can be sat on it, but this center part, this part that's heated, will all be done at a later date when the building's put up. So that will be finished after tomorrow, because the pour is tomorrow morning. They've gone off to get some more materials. You can see all the insulation for the rest of the floor. I'll flip the camera around and walk you around. So this is the molding the guys are using. This will be the top of the slab. So you can see it's considerably high and there's a lot to fill in there. But this, as I said, won't be completed on the edges until they do the other main part, because they're going to build a box section around each place where the beam support comes down. So it means we can put the building on this area, and then everything we put inside after, we know that won't get damaged. However, we have put in conduits for this blue one is for the heat exchanger that's going to come outside. So that'll be what we call a pompe à chaleur in French, but that'll mean I can run my pipes in and out from there, and there'll be enough for electricity as well. But that part is done later anyway. But this is the part for the EDF where their cables come in. That will just be in that side. Actually, the building will be slightly wider still. The area there and the area there will be slightly, sorry, narrower, but the middle will be slightly wider. So you can see now the size of access I've got in the middle, which is perfect. It's all worked out as I wanted it. So we've got hot and cold water for the shower and the basin gone in that side. There's a toilet pipe, there's a ventilation pipe. So there's enough there for all that. That's all in and done. I'm just myself putting in the feeder pipe. If we need it, we might not need that, but it's in anyway under the floor, and the main pour, because it's a big tube, so we can get, that's the feed for the underfloor heating. So there'll be two sections here, two sections in the first part, and I've got to put a feed in this part just about where that white tube goes in. But that tube is the hot and cold water for the basin in the extraction room. And then over here, if I can get over here without breaking my neck, this then is this will be the feed for the underfloor heating for the three sections here, 1, 2 and 3, and this is where the warming room will be, as I said. So it'll be about here, the entrance to the extraction room, and then the warming room will be all that side. So it's a fair size, but you won't really appreciate the size of it. But even though it does look big now, you won't appreciate the size until we actually get the slab all done and finished. So it's all come on really well. You can see these guys have been working hard. This is the insulation that's going to go in the floor of the main area where there is no underfloor heating. So that is what we're in charge of. This bit is what they're in charge of, and it's pretty intensive. Got a good thermal value on this. 2.4. Apparently that means it's really good insulation for flooring. It's made for under slabbing. So it's perfect stuff. So this is only half of it. There's a load more to come, but we are insulating this place pretty well, as you can see. So all the edging is in here. I'm pretty impressed by the way it's worked out. I'm so lucky that we got what we did done last week, because trying to work with this weather this week would have been nigh on impossible. So as I said, tomorrow morning we're going to pour those two sections, and then when they're poured, then we can build a raft around the top and build the extra sections that will make the supports for that building in those two areas, and then we can finish the whole slab. It's literally that simple. It could be finished within 2 weeks and done, which is really good because it means it's starting to dry, and if it rains, that's great, it can dry slowly. So these guys are pretty experienced. They've done this all before. It's all pretty good that they're organized. They know what's going on. This will be my level here. So imagine I've got to move all of this to somewhere else and dig it down, which is going to be tons of soil. So that is my issue I've got to deal with, the biggest problem I'm working at, but it can go. I've found somewhere in Corcel that wants a load of soil, but I've also got another guy closer, so I think we have a solution. But with all the rain, it does make everything really squidgy, as I said, and we were so lucky to get, you like my trousers? Aren't they just sexy? Keeps you clean. We were so lucky to get everything done that we did. So tomorrow morning this will be poured to cover it. It's not that height, it's about, I think, 25 centimeters they're going to pour onto this to cover all the metal, completely covered, and then they're going to obviously level it all and all that. So that'll be done tomorrow morning. Then that's it. There's no kind of going back now. What we haven't put in there now, we're finished. And we've got to measure where everything is so we know where all these pipes are. But it's all looking good. It's all really good. I'm really pleased about the way things are going. Just whew, kind of in awe of how it's worked out. You know, you come down here after it's been raining all morning and these guys are like drowned rats. They found a space in my shed next to my supers and they're all huddled around there trying to keep warm but on their break. But they're good grafters. Anyway, tomorrow morning, this is going to be done. Here we are. The day after, the floor is dry. And it's an amazing finish, but it doesn't really matter about this, as I said, because this is going to be the base for the underfloor heating. Let me show you what the guys have been doing this morning. So this morning, they've been building a mould that will finish the external wall. What I was trying to explain before. So this mould goes all the way around to here, this part, and also in here, which sections everything off. So you can see now, this is all prepared where the main slab will be, and the main slab will come up to just the top of this, about 2 centimeters under, but everywhere will be the same. And this means we can put the building on here now, on all of this, and all that can be polished right up to here. And this is where the main electrics will be. This has got to all be sorted out, but it's basically easy to sort out. We've got electrics on this side, and we've got the water and all the water stuff on that side. But there's a nice big alleyway now, you can see. Let me go over here, and then you can see how big the central aisle is. Now that's not definitive, because when I divide up the rooms, there'll be a mezzanine on the areas you can see, but the mezzanine will go from where that radio is over there, the Makita radio, the bluish one, in line with the ground whacker, be right across there, and it'll be all that. So the mezzanine will be a big L-shaped. But anyway, you can see we put the cables down one side in a channel, and that gives me electrical feed to all the points, the bottom section, and also we've got electrical feed to the top section. But we can still add cables at any time, but it was just to get a load in the ground while we could. Let me put this up higher, and then I can walk around the place. So here we go. This is all dry now. I just love this. So this is where my extraction machine is going to go. The machine will start about here, because I calculated that the machine will be, they measured the length, and the actual electrical input is actually in a gap under the machine. So I've got about 60 centimeters before. So the machine will be here. You walk into the room about here. I can advance or move that if I need to. Everything will be in its place, and the machine will be basically just about here. So that means that I can bring pallets all around the side and exit that door. I can use this to work in the winter, and I've got the warming room here, which is going to be approximately this big. So it's a big warming room. And it's not just for warming. Obviously, I can store honey in it, I can work in it in the winter. If I just want to heat the two sections that are going to be here, 1, 2, I can. If I want to heat all the 3 sections here in the extraction room, I can. And if I want to just work in there, I can. I'm still not sure what I'm going to do with that part of the building yet. It will definitely be toilet and shower and changing room, but I'm going to probably make it as smaller and use that room for something else like an office as well, because it just means I can probably put all my internet stuff in there, and it will be a place maybe where orders come in, stuff like that, when I'm doing online sales, which is my plan long term. So you can see now all the cables that are necessary run down to here, including this feed for the heating. So that's in. It means that there'll be 3 grids here, and then these other pipes are going to feed plugs and gang sockets that will be, means I can either work inside here or outside there with the same machine, but it will be rated, high rating, these ones specifically, so that I can plug in my wax melter, my honey creamer if I need to, and it gives me flexibility to work both sides. The whole idea is I'm trying to jump ahead as much as I can, but obviously I can't because I haven't got the experience and everything. But from what I've seen, you can never have too many plugs in one area. So that's all in place. And if I want to add plugs after, I certainly can do it along and in the metal of the building, but it's just better for me, as I'm concerned, to put as many in the ground as possible first. So what will happen is they'll basically do all this in one pour. I mentioned before it's something like 30 cubic meters. I'm not sure if you can see this here, but this is where I've decided to put a junction box here and a distribution box here because it was too far to run individual cables and too many of these. But here means I've got distribution to every part of the every part of the honey house. I'll need power to the double doors, which is for sure, which is going to be there. That will come to here as well. I'll need power for other things, for mixing. For instance, if I do sugar and making my own syrups, that can all be done in here, this area, which is where it's likely to be. But I might do it in the warming room, but I've got flexibility. And I'm just kind of what we call covering your arse. I'm putting everything I can. This is going to be a drain, okay? So there's a drain here. It's called, in French, it's called a caniveau. It's a flat drain that will go into the concrete. But don't forget, this isn't the final level. When we put the heating system in, we cover this whole area with a liquid cover, a liquid cement, and that then will fill all the gaps and make this a solid lump, and then the heating will be underneath it. So the drain will sit in there, and the drain just goes outside at the moment, but it will go down there, and that will just be water and honey, if there is any, when I wash the floor. That's the whole idea. I'll be able to wash the floor from this side going out, and I'll be able to push it out the way, and it'll all go into the drain. I'm not really intending to slope the floor, because water will find its way there, and obviously this wall will be sealed when the wall goes in, when I divide off this whole area with the mezzanine, and then the subsequent polyurethane washable insulated walls. And it's a really cheap way of doing that, but I'll tell you more about that as and when that all comes. But now we're going to be ready to do the main pour. The moulding's all in, the guys are really happy. They're even happy because they've had their first payment, which they asked for. So I was actually quite glad to start paying these guys, because they've done a lot of work. The insulation, to give you some idea, was something like €7,000 just to insulate this. The cost of polystyrene has gone up massively, but it's in and it's done, and it's an 80mm. And that's really going to be a benefit to my building, because the building is completely insulated, the walls, the four walls and the roof and the floor. So I'm going to be building a warming room in a fully insulated building. So when I have my warming room set up, the heat loss will be absolutely minimal for a tiny bit of input. But, you know, it is just absolutely brilliant. I feel that within the time we've been working here, we've advanced massively. We would have poured the cement next Monday, Tuesday, but at the moment they don't know when the weather's going to be dry. The forecast isn't reliable for 2 days for next week. So until we get to next week, we're going to have to wait. But I can give you some, I can walk on this, and when you see the size of the area now, it really makes you think, wow, this is going to be huge, but it's never going to be big enough. No matter what you build, you always need more space. But I'm going to obviously have plenty of space initially. You know, this is one corner here, being at the other one. It's just amazing the size of this thing. I'm kind of constantly pinching myself to think, is this going to really be my new building? But anyway, there we are. It's absolutely brilliant. If you can see me here, I'm at the other corner now. Really, really pleased. Everything is ready, and we're just going to fill this thing. It's a massive pour, but I'll do a video on that next week or the week after when we do that pour. But in the meantime, there's not really much to say other than we've advanced a really long way, really quickly, and I'm truly grateful to these guys who have done such a lot of work, but they just know their stuff. It's the two guys I chose just happen to be the two guys that do this kind of thing all the time, and it's just finding the right person to be able to do that, because it's like weird that like nothing kind of phases them. Yeah, we'll sort that out, or yeah, it's no problem. You know, they're happy, they're getting paid, the job's done, they know they're going to be finished next week, which is like 2 weeks earlier than they ever even dreamt to be finished. And as far as I'm concerned, everything's a winner. I did actually ask them this morning, could I possibly start putting my building together earlier? And they said, look, if it's a little bit of extra time you're going to win, don't bother. Just let the concrete go really, really hard, and then all the fixings will be perfect. So there'll be not much happening here after the pour is done. The concrete will be hardening. I'll be getting all my other things sorted out and organised. There's loads to do still, actually. But long story short, it'll be going up. The building will arrive mid-December, and then we'll be putting it on. We can put a lot of it, which is good. I said this before. We can put a lot of it on the slab itself when it's done, which means that we're not then having to move stuff around too much, because there's plenty of room for all the other pallets and stuff around, which means everybody's happy because it's easy to work on this site. So, until the next time we pour on this project, I'll catch you again soon. Bye for now.